Hi, my name is Connor Howes and today I'll be completing Practical Assessment 18, performing a blood smear, and this is attempt 2 of this assessment where I'll be going over a few demonstration points that I missed in my previous assessment. So I'm here in the lab now where I've correctly gathered all of the appropriate equipment required for today's video. Before starting any diagnostic test, we must ensure that we are correctly labeling the microscope slide with the correct patient details, including the first and last name of the patient and the date that we are running the diagnostic test. As per clinic policy, we use a pencil to label. I understand this is not gold standard and we should be using a felt tip permanent marker or pen for more permanency. However, this is what my clinic recommends. Now, before we've begun, we have correctly cleaned the microscope slide using a Kim wipe to remove any of that residual oil, dust, or foreign debris that may have been built up, and to ensure that it is a clean microscope slide ready for testing. So we must make sure that we are labeling the slide to ensure clear patient and client correspondence, and to ensure that the correct patient's blood and test is being run for the correct patient. If this was being sent to an external laboratory, they wouldn't have any understanding of the patient that we have handled, and they must ensure that everything is correctly labeled to ensure that the tests are being accurately performed. Now, when we want to label the microscope slide, we want to be labeling using the frosted end away from where we are placing the sample. So we don't want to be placing it on the glass kind of flush end. We want to be writing on the frosted end here. Now, writing the patient's first name in capital letters being Lexi, and the patient's last name being Howes in capital letters, and today's date being the 16th of April. As you can see, I've correctly labeled that one there for Lexi Howes. Now we move over to the microscope. We make sure that we are on the 4 times here just to begin, and we have the stage completely up. So to begin, you want to bring the stage completely down to its lowest setting. Then you want to load the sample into the microscope. Then we want to open up the iris diaphragm completely to allow full light in. Then we want to adjust the rheostat to change the light intensity. Great. Then we move over to the 10 times, to the 40 times, which I have correctly demonstrated in my previous video. Then moving to the 100 times, we want to move halfway around and rotate, putting a small drop of immersion oil on top of the sample. Then at this stage, we are very careful as we move it over to the 100 times. This is now when we can raise the stage and bring the sample into view. And we want to make sure that immersion oil is not touching the microscope lens in any way. Then we want to use the iris diaphragm to adjust the contrast and clarity of the view. Too much light and we won't be able to visualize the sample under the microscope. Too little light and it'll be too dark and not enough contrast. So, and then again, you can slightly adjust the rheostat for light intensity. And to close, we will lower the stage, close the iris diaphragm, turn off the microscope at the wall, remove the sample, discard into the sharps container, turn off at the wall, give it a good wipe over with Kim wipes, and make sure it's free of any dust, foreign debris or contamination, and place the microscope cover over the top. But other than that, that is everything today. That is Practical Assessment 18, performing a blood smear, attempt 2.